I'm gonna be honest, Charlotte. I wanted to do a something special for the intro. For I always say just welcome to the People Sports Podcast, and I feel at this point like if you listen to the show, you know you're listening to the people, and we also introduce ourselves, and I feel also at this point that if you listen to the show, you know what I mean?
Right. You know what you're getting.
So you did the mailbag one, and you were what? How do you even remember doing this? That you were just like you were in like a state of ecstasy of some sort, and were just like singing or something.
When I went into my like old timey reporter announcer
That's what
voice,
it was.
welcome to the People Sports Podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from, Mark, but I think next time you need to channel that.
Well, I had an idea to like try to sing. I try to say like "Welcome to the People Sports Podcast," but like to the tune of a song, and then you try to figure out what song I'm singing. But then it's way too early. Full disclosure: we're recording this very early. It is 7:30 a.m. Which is super early for on the West Coast. We don't work, Charlotte. That's not how we just go to the beach.
I know. I've been out there. I've seen you in action.
And we
you
go
literally just go to the beach.
We just go to the beach and we maybe go on a light jog, and that's the most exertion. And so this idea of like waking up and grinding is killing me. What are you doing to me, Charlotte?
First of all, don't sell yourself short. I've watched you drag a wagon full of Tommy Bahama beach chairs. Okay, that's not nothing. That takes some effort.
Dragging a wagon is the name of my OnlyFans, by the way. There we go. We're back. So I was gonna sing to start the show. It's too early. Maybe I'll save that for next week. Well, actually, we're not doing a show next week.
No, because you have like quote a job that's more than just this one. I don't know. The reason we're recording early today is my fault because I am for the first time in a year and 3 months going to cover a live sporting event, which is
exciting.
I think I'm very nervous. Like I don't really remember how to do this, but I'm going to do it and have to be at Madison Square Garden at 12:30.
What are you most nervous about? Getting through security? Like what is it? Tell the people they're lucky enough to not have the hardest job in the world, which is covering sports, as we know. So what?
I actually forgot about security even. I have to get tested. I have to get COVID tested. And I'm not allowed to take pictures of the testing area. I know that much.
So if they want to fudge the numbers, they can't. There's no evidence of. Is that what it is?
So,
like, why
if I test positive, but they let me in anyway, there's no way. No, I'm kidding. I don't have COVID. But I'm nervous that I feel like there is so much riding on this one. You know, like it's the first thing that I have gone to and reported on. And it's not even like I can report on anything. I can't go into the locker room. The media availability is all over Zoom. But like I'll be there in person, and my whole shtick is telling people what it's like to be places in person. And I'm oh my God, it's like, coming back. I feel like I'm coming out of retirement, honestly,
but,
like from describing things. I'm like, I'm going to forget the words to how to describe things.
Maybe it'll work in your favor that it's a weird environment, and that, cause I think maybe, you're stacking it up against what you were doing pre-pandemic, but I think now at this point, just saying like, guys, I'm in the arena. I can confirm there's basketball being played, and maybe that's enough because like people haven't really. They're like, wow, the great perspective, Charlotte. We have not heard this perspective in a year.
I mean, hopefully, I hope you're right. But did you find that when you were at the Maui Invitational, people were just like psyched that you were somewhere?
Yeah, we were psyched, but be prepared for this. It is very, very bizarre. Are they allowing fans in at all? No fan.
Like limited media. I barely got in.
It was very, very bizarre because the championship game of Maui, which was played in Nashville, North Carolina.
Right. Sorry, the Maui Invitational in Nashville.
In Nashville, North Carolina. The championship game was a buzzer beater. Texas hit a shot at the buzzer, beat North Carolina, and it was the weirdest thing ever because if under any other circumstances, there's some sort of reaction. Even if it was all North Carolina fans in the building, you could hear like the air get sucked out, and like they'd be like, oh. Or if it's Texas fans, obviously they're going crazy. Or if it's just, if it's literally anybody, just neutral fans, they're like, wow, what a shot, And it was just dead silent, and it was like, oh, this is bizarre.
I didn't even think of that.
That was when it hit me because we were watching games the whole week, and I was like, I don't know, it feels just like an AAU environment. I've been in enough basketball games in my life where there's no fans. We played in the Big Ten, so we played at Northwestern all the time and Penn State, and there were no fans. So I was used to.
That was funny, Mark. That was actually funny.
And then Yeah, that was when it became like weird, I guess. It was like the last second shot. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, this is definitely not how this is supposed to feel.
At this point, I forgot that fans ever went to sports games. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what's going to feel weirder, the first going to this or the first time I go to. Our brains are all broken.
I know. As an aside, just like in general, I'm ready to recondition my brain to like watch a movie and not be like, oh my God, they're not 6 feet? Or like, why do they not have Matt? I know. Let's be done with all that. Anyway, Charlotte's going to the Big East tournament, so we simply do not have time. We don't. We have to get these.
I am very important today.
I would love to. I wrote down in my notes, would love to talk about Shailene Woodley and Aaron Rodgers this week. We simply do not have the time, Charlotte.
Well, thank you I'm just glad that at least you brought it up.
The royal wedding. I have 3 pages of notes on the royal interview with Oprah. We don't have time.
Okay, can you promise me something? I'm not going to talk about it. But promise me that when you come back after, your very busy week off, that maybe we can talk about it
We can talk about it. I did watch it, and I did have thoughts, because you sold me on it that it's them taking down the royal, because I hate the royal family so much. So so I did like it, but we simply do not have the time, Charlotte.
Wait, but what if we scrap the show and talk about just that?
Then we'll have the time.
Okay, no. We have a great show. We're going to do our March Madness the way that Titus and Tate doesn't do March Madness. Because it's tough. You have a college basketball podcast, so talking about college basketball for us has to be done differently. Unfortunately, this show is perfectly suited for nothing that is actually about sports. So
if you find yourself saying, I wish I got more college basketball analysis out of this, go listen to Titus and Tate, and then you'll really find yourself saying, I wish I got more college basketball analysis.
Oh wait, also though, I have to roast you for you had a second photo shoot. You did another photo shoot without me. I shaved
the mustache, which is kind of disrespectful to you. That for our photo shoot,
I think it's disrespectful to Tate. Honestly. Also, like in this situation, Tate was there first, so I can't really be upset about it. But the magazine cover, the fake magazine cover, was really, really something.
That's not fake. We started a publication. We were inspired by Oprah to start a magazine named after yourself that you put yourself on the cover every
every month. But it only comes out in March.
Every March, Titus and Tate magazine. Yeah, so we're talking about college basketball, obviously, but it's March. March Madness is happening, but at the same time, another thing about this March Madness preview that we're doing is that we don't have a bracket yet.
Yeah, so it's really we are the
only we're the only people brave enough in sports media to do a March Madness preview with no bracket.
I like that. I like putting it that way because
it's okay.
Everyone else is a coward, and we are the ones willing to stand here and say we know nothing, and we're going to admit that, and we're still going to give you analysis.
And we're still going to talk about it like we do know everything. So,
and everyone who listens to the hockey podcast is like, oh no, we know.
So in talking about like trying to plan a show, our show, what we try to do here is different than everybody. Most of the time that's for the worse, and most of the time people are listening to our hockey show and they're like, what the hell is this? Sometimes we feel like that this is useful to people because there are a lot of sports podcasts, Charlotte. There are a lot of them, and
I thought we were the only one.
If they're all hitting the same thing, then suddenly we're not different. So we're trying to think like, what is it about the show that like we could talk about March Madness that wouldn't feel like it's Titus and Tate-esque? And I think the one thing about this show that's different from other college basketball shows I do is you, Charlotte. You are not on other shows I do. So with that in mind, I want you to drive this show because you tell me what you want from me. What do you want from March Madness? I represent college basketball as a whole today for the whole sport. I will be the representative. Wow. You represent the general public.
Does college basketball know that?
Yeah, I know.
Is someone going to tell them?
You represent the general public who just kind of, you show up in March. I know you're a diehard UVA fan. We went over this before, but you show up in March and you're like, this is what I want out of March Madness. I need you guys to deliver this for me. And then I'll speak on behalf of college basketball. And I'll be like, all right, well, here, like, you know what I mean?
Okay, thank you. I love this because I am not, I don't live and breathe college basketball the way you do, except for I bleed orange and blue. But, besides that.
I bleed, you just Google, I bleed orange and blue. That's right. Yes, orange.
Honestly, as you said that, I was looking I have that Patrick Ewing poster behind me, and I was like, wait, is that just the Knicks or is that UVA? No, but so here's what I want is there are certain things that I absolutely love about March Madness, and our lists today are going to be fun too because they're going to be sort of touching on the non-basketball moments we love the most. But before that, I want you to tell me which team you think is most likely to do the things that I need to have a great March Madness, because I really don't know the lay of the land that well this year. I know that Gonzaga is undefeated. I do know that much. But aside from that,
yeah, okay. That's a good. Is that really it? I guess that would be a good exercise. A good starting point. Like I did with hockey, where I was like, here are things I know, and that's it. What do you know about this particular season? This particular season,
This particular season, I know that Villanova is the number 1 seed in the Big East tournament. Yep. I know that Georgetown is not great, but that my buddy Patrick Ewing will be at Madison Square Garden in a few hours, which I'm very excited about. Maybe I'll just bring the poster and show him. I know that UVA's been good. I know that much. I know that the Big Ten, Michigan broke your heart with Ohio State, but that Ohio State is good. So, I feel like I have somewhat a lay of the land.
That's all right. That's close enough. Yeah. It's fun if people that are diehard college basketball fans are listening to even just what you just said, and they're like, wrong. Like, because Virginia is good technically, but they're not like as good as they usually are. So,
but they're still good.
Same with Ohio State. We've now lost 4 in a row, but we're still technically good. But also, it's like,
but you were good.
But we were good at one point.
Okay, but do you know what I mean? Like, I have an idea of who the players are, the top teams.
Right.
People are actually talking about this.
Right.
But what I want to know is, for me to have a great March Madness, I need 5 things. And I'm going to start with the first thing. I need one school that no one has ever heard of winning in the first round.
This is this happens, it seems, every year. That
like I only heard about Lipscomb University in 2017 and Googled it and wrote a blog post called "Where is Lipscomb University?" and it was the highest trafficked thing on our site that day. So, it's things like, I want things like that.
I have a perfect school for you because, this is a phenomenon that happens in college basketball that, and then you'll get the story the following year about how that school saw an uptick in applications.
Yes, exactly.
Like 500% more people applied to Lipscomb that year.
Right.
Or Florida Gulf Coast is a great example. When they went to the Sweet 16, was that 2015? No, that was way before that. That was like 2012. Boy, I am getting old.
I know.
Florida Gulf Coast, they go to the Sweet 16. Andy Enfield was the coach. He's now the head coach at USC, by the way, Charlotte. Okay. So when that happened, Florida Gulf Coast, I remember just hearing no one knew where it was. George Mason's another one. George Mason, 2006, went to the Final Four. And it was a shocking deal, and they didn't go to the Final Four. Yeah, they did. They went to the final. Dude,
I feel
it is
that
very,
really
very
put
early.
George Mason on the map because I have a bunch of friends who applied there after that, because that would have been my junior year in high school, and then a bunch of people were like, "Oh, well, George Mason it is," and so I think it really can put schools on the map to a point where, 15 years later, we're still like, "Oh yeah, that's a school that I know because they were once good at March Madness." It's
important to bring this up though, because you can sometimes watch sports and ask yourself, what is the importance of any of this? Why are we doing this? What is, and especially in the current climate of the world, where you're like, what? We're like,
welcome to my
is
existential nightmares that I wake up from at 3 a.m.
And I think these are important things to remind yourself, Charlotte, is that they do have real impacts on the universities. They actually matter. So with that in mind, I'll shut up with the monologue and I'll say my answer is Winthrop. Have you heard of Winthrop University?
Barely.
Do you know? Okay, Winthrop is in South Carolina. They are 23-1 this year. Their one loss that they had was by, I think, 2 points, and it was I think they lost to UNC Asheville, if I remember right. And it was.
You mean UNC Maui?
Yeah, UNC Maui. Yeah. And it came down to the wire, and they had a shot to send it to overtime. What I'm saying is, even the loss by 2 points, they kind of could have won. They let it slip away, and they were very, very close to being undefeated as well. Mm-hmm. And in spite of that, even though they almost went undefeated, they're probably not going to get a great seed because their schedule wasn't very good. They're probably going to end up getting like a 12 seed, 11 seed, somewhere in there.
Ooh,
which is
so
a
that
prime.
Sets them up.
It's a prime setup for the small school, because here's another nugget that you'll enjoy. 12 versus 5 upsets happen at what's the word? It's too early. Disproportionate.
Unprecedented.
A disproportionate rate.
Yeah, that's the word.
The 12 over 5 upset happened. I think it happens more than like an 11 over 6. And the reason why is because the 12 seeds, Charlotte, are when they fill out the bracket. This is serious. I know this is going to sound like I'm joking, but this is me getting into very serious mode.
No, I love it. I love
it. When they fill out the bracket, the 12 seeds are traditionally the teams the best teams that the only way they were getting in is if they won their conference tournaments. Whereas the final, so what you traditionally get, the best 12 seeds are usually teams like Winthrop that are like really good small schools, a lot of seniors or just guys that have played together that have, like this is their time to shine, and they've been winning a lot. They're used to winning. They just won their conference tournament, so they're kind of hot. But they they didn't play a great schedule, so the only way in was to win their conference tournament, so they get a 12 seed. Whereas the 5 seeds are typically like your middle of the pack, like power conference teams, like your teams that like your Virginia Tech, say, where it's like they're good. They had their moments this year, but they've lost a handful of games, and like I don't know, who knows where their head's at going into the tournament? Who knows like which guys are trying to go to the NBA and are like, get me the hell out. And so anyway, that's why that happens a lot. And then meanwhile,
that is fascinating. I never knew that, Mark. That makes a ton of sense.
And then the reason the 6-11 doesn't happen quite as much is because the 11s then are the worst power. The 11s are the teams that get in the final bids into the tournament. So they will be your teams that are typically like your teams that sucked all year and then just snuck in at the last second. Okay. And we're does that make any sense?
Yes, totally.
So then they aren't that good. So 12s are anyway. So 12-5 upset.
Are there any other examples of a 12 that's probably gonna, like, what you think would be a 12 this year that would be?
Let me pull up a bracket of what they're thinking of, like, because
we don't have the sports question.
We don't have the bracket in front of us. So, the 12s are playing guys this year, so they're going to be. I guess I was wrong. Maybe they moved. When did they switch this? I'm showing how little I pay attention to the bubble, I guess. The 12s are going to be playing teams. So I'm thinking out loud. Drake is another good example. Small school. They started undefeated. They're in the Missouri Valley Conference. They took a few lumps. I think one of their better players got hurt. They are in Iowa.
That's another school that I forget exists.
Yeah.
So that's also a good choice.
They were undefeated for a very long time, and then they lost, and now they're not undefeated anymore. That's how that works.
Is that how it works?
They're probably going to be a 12 seed. I think they're going to make it in. I could see them being 11 though, but somewhere in that range. I don't know. Those would be the two though.
Okay, cool.
Winthrop's the pick, so pick Winthrop in your pool, unless they're playing. Let me look up who they're projecting as like 5 seeds. Oh yeah, like Florida State or USC.
Oh yeah.
Like if Winthrop plays USC, I mean, it's over.
Is it? It's done.
I mean, USC's good. They have Evan Mobley, who's going to be a top 5 pick, might be top 3 pick, but it just feels right. It feels like karma for Andy Enfield, who's the coach at USC now. After he was at, he's got to come back around to have the small school kick his ass now. So anyway,
I'm rooting for that.
That's my pick. Winthrop.
Okay.
Keep an eye on Winthrop, or at least do your own research. Don't listen to me if when it comes time to fill out your bracket, do your research on Winthrop America. I'm
going to Google Winthrop and find out everything about them that's non-basketball related, and tell you the next time we do a show together.
There you go.
Another thing that I really want from March Madness is just an insanely high-scoring game. A game that, like, and obviously we don't have the bracket yet, but, if there are any two teams that could face each other realistically that you think would be one of those games where either nobody plays defense or, like, 2 of their stars light on fire on each team. Something just, like, really, really incredibly just baskets everywhere, Mark. That's what I want.
Well, first of all, Winthrop, I should mention, plays very fast. So I don't think their offense is awesome, but they do play very fast, which makes it fun because they'll run up and down and be crazy. Gonzaga is the obvious pick. Gonzaga, not just because they're the best team, but they also play extremely fast, like a fast tempo. They have the best offense in the country. They score a ton. But the problem is they can sometimes, this isn't true. We just saw them give up 53 points in the first half against BYU in the WCC title.
That was last night, right?
Yeah. They can sometimes.
I just want you to know.
Wow, you did prepare for the show.
I sure
They
did.
can sometimes let their foot off the gas defensively, but for the most part, they're too good defensively. Like that's not what we want. So the team, you're going to think I'm joking. The best team is honestly Ohio State.
I knew you were going to say that.
We are so good on offense and we suck so bad on defense.
Oh,
and
perfect. So that's exactly what I want.
exactly what you want. Yeah, it's going to be a fun game. Like the Michigan game that broke my heart. Yeah. It was like the game of the year in college basketball because there's everyone was hitting everything and it looked like an NBA game.
Fantastic.
They're just hitting tough shot after tough shot. Ohio State's a great pick. Gonzaga, you should watch every Gonzaga game, honestly, in the tournament. Not you, just Americans. They're very good. And they're going to be fun. And it's also like that's the team we're waiting to see lose. So
right.
Watch because you might see them lose. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I remember. But they're undefeated. And you should watch because
the stakes are
for
high.
that reason. LSU's another good one. Their defense is horrendous. I don't know what but they can score and they play relatively quick. They're probably going to be I'm looking. Yeah, they're going to be like an 8 or a 9 seed. So if they win their first game, they might play like a Gonzaga.
Oh God.
If LSU plays Gonzaga, that's going to be a hell of a game. And Gonzaga's going to win by 25, but it's going to be like 130 to 105.
That's exactly what I want. I'm going to now fill out when the bracket does come out. I'm going to look through it for any of these matchups that you talked about, and then fill my bracket out solely hoping for the outcomes that I want to see these games.
Iowa's a good one. Oh, sorry. I'm just thinking. This is a good question because I have a lot of. Iowa's a good one. I just ripped through. And Creighton. Creighton's another one. Watch Creighton
I'm watching them.
Yeah, I was gonna
today.
say I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on Creighton with the Big East tournament because they're a pretty fun team.
I might Lou, your producer for Titus and Tate, talk to me about maybe coming on the show tomorrow after I go to the Big East. So maybe I'll save this for that.
Wow. This is news to me.
Or I just won't do it at all because that's too much me. But the one thing that I will say is this is an exactly year to the day of the last sports game played before everything shut down, which was St. John's Creighton. And there's something either poetic or depressing or all of it about, going back to the first thing that shut down. But I'm excited to see how that is. And that's a total non sequitur right now, but hearing Creighton made me think that I meant to say that at the top of the show. Also tomorrow, the day this comes out, Thursday, is Rudy Gobert Day. When he touched
That's what we're calling it? I don't think
when he shut down the NBA.
Creighton, one name to know, Mitch Ballack. Burn it into your brain, Charlotte. This dude's about to do something in front of you, and you're going to text me when you're watching.
Sounds like
Mitch
he's going to moon me or something.
No, he's just like a left-handed dude that plays for Creighton that will shoot from literally anywhere on his side of half court and will probably make he's stupid. It's so stupid.
Okay.
It's
right.
He's the closest thing
stupid.
college basketball has to Steph Curry in that regard, and I think you're gonna like it. I think you're gonna like him. So anyway,
I'm psyched. I'm jazzed. I can't wait for. I'm gonna go watch some basketball, Mark. Okay. What do you think is a team most likely to put up an insane buzzer beater?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. That has to be Oklahoma State.
Why?
Oklahoma State has, I swear to God, every time I turn them on, they are playing in a close game. Like there's a stat where I think 13, how many games did they play? Like 20, they probably played like 24, 25. And I think it's like 13 of their 20, like half their games that they played this year have been 5 points or fewer. Have been decided by 5 points or fewer. They come down to the wire. They have Cade Cunningham, who's probably going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. And I swear, you turn on Oklahoma. If an Oklahoma State game starts at say noon, you can turn on your TV at 1:50. And there's probably 6 minutes left and it's a 2-point game and Cade Cunningham has the ball in his hand. Is like, all right, I guess I'm going to go win the game now. And sometimes it's worked out and sometimes it hasn't, but it's been insane. Was
their schedule hard? Is that why?
Oh yeah. They played in the Big 12, which is, some people think it's better than the Big 10 as the best conference. I mean, the Big 12 is very, very good. Baylor's in there. Kansas is in there.
Right.
West Virginia. But they have been through all of that. I feel like Oklahoma State is going to be unfazed in the tournament. Like if there's a close game down the stretch, they're gonna be like, yeah, this is just like every other game we play in.
Right. This is what we do.
Yeah, they played like 4 or 5 overtime games this year, I think. It's crazy, and they win a lot of them. I think they're ranked like 12th or something in the AP. Like they're good. They're a very good team. but they play in a lot of close games because they play in a tough conference. And then
That's so fun. That's kind of like how I live my life, like constantly on the verge of forgetting my keys or like doing something, but then like saving it at the last minute. And like, so I respect that.
I'm on the edge of a breakdown and I just
constantly. And I usually manage to pull, there's a buzzer beater where it's like, whew, she's okay, but it was touch and go. All right. What team's mascot do you think is going to go way too hard this year? You know how there's always like that clip of a mascot who's doing too much and you're like the kid in there, he or she is either a senior and just like leaving it all on the floor, or a freshman who's too eager, or someone who like likes a little too much being the mascot. And I want to know what team you think that's
You're not gonna like to hear me say this. I don't think America's ready to say this. I don't think America's ready for me to say this, but this is the year America turns on Sister Jean.
That is not what I thought you were going to. First of all, Mark, Sister Jean is a person. She's not a fuzzy mascot.
Okay, Charlotte. Tell me what is Loyola Chicago's nickname and or mascot? Exactly. You can't. They went to the Final Four. You have no idea.
No idea.
No clue.
What is it? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, the Ramblers, and it's like a dog.
I hear Rambler, and I think of like a Yeti coffee mug.
Yeah, exactly. That would be funny.
That would be great, Brandon.
So
That's one step
a
away
coffee
from
mug
that.
with like arms just dancing on the side. It's just like,
and the person inside's like way too hot.
I would argue Sister Jean has become the mascot of Loyola, and
you think this is the last year that she's beloved? Like, what's going to happen?
Look, come on, Charlotte. Jesus, like, don't.
What?
Are you being morbid like that? Like.
Oh, no. No. I
don't mean that. I
didn't mean that either. I meant, is this the last year that people are going to love her before they hate her? Not is she, Jesus, Mark.
You're the one who said it.
We're both mad at each other about this.
I think this is so I think it's just the situation of too much. She's going to be overexposed. It's going to be like, we had this story. I thought we already had this story. Yeah, the sequel's never as good. Loyola is very, very good. They have, are you aware of KenPom? We've talked about this before because you're a UVA fan, and UVA fans love KenPom. It's the data, all the data you'd ever want in college basketball. I believe, I'm going to go check right now.
I've even looked at it.
Yeah, I my suspicion was correct. Loyola has the #1 defense in college basketball, according to KenPom.com, which is to say they have the most efficient defense per all these analytics.
Nobody tell UVA.
Yeah, exactly. They're not happy about it. But with that, Loyola could make a run this year. They could do it. They're good enough. They have Cameron Krutwig, a guy that people might remember if he was on the Final Four team. The big guy, left-handed. He plays like. I've seen people call him the Jokic of Missouri Valley. Is what it is.
My friend Seth Rosenthal tweeted once that Jokic plays basketball like he's always wearing flip-flops, and I think I've said that before, but I can't hear his name without thinking of like. And when you say this guy plays like Jokic, I'm like, oh, so he wears flip-flops.
So he wears flip-flops.
So he's wearing flip-flops.
But yeah, Loyola could conceivably. I don't think they're going to make the Final Four. But we didn't think they were going to make the Final Four the year they did it, and so I think the sequel, the Sister Jean sequel, people are going to be like, all right, we get it. Like, all right.
I mean,
we got it last time.
I don't want to say it, but like I'm kind of there already. I'm sort of like.
Tate should compare to. Tate was there the first moment we decided, like, because like Tate got fired up about it, and I joined in with him because nobody knows anybody's name. Name one player that was on the Loyola team that went to the Final Four. Name who's Loyola's coach.
No idea.
Exactly. And we were like, this is insane. Like, these guys are doing something that they should be legends at their school. No. And everyone wants to talk to Sister Jean, who, by the way, famously, when they were getting their ass kicked in the Final Four, left the game early. People don't talk about that. She gets wheeled out of the arena. I was in the building. I saw it happen. She's wheeled. There's like 5 minutes.
I can't join in on saying that a 98-year-old nun should not have left the game early, but I see your point. All right, moving. So Sister Jean.
I'd say, but I also don't know all the teams that are going to be in. Bulldogs. Are they going to let mascots in even?
No, I have the inside scoop on that actually, but I'm going to wait till our list to get to this. I DM with a certain dog. Let's just put it that way. Okay, here's the last thing that I want out of a March Madness. Obviously, this is kind of a boring one, but I think that I'm asking this for the people because I think the people might want to know. Who do you think has the best chance of being a real Cinderella story? Like not just a 12 beating a 5 in the first round, but like making it either, maybe making it to the Final Four.
I have three candidates for you.
Okay.
Of varying levels of size of school. So I'll start with the smallest.
Okay.
The small school that has the best chance is Liberty, which I know as a university, people aren't exactly fans of Liberty,
right.
but whatever. Separate the art from the artist. Separate the basketball team from the artist.
Tough line in 2021, Mark. I'll put it that way.
They're on a 12-game winning streak. They have played a lot of. They're going to be probably like a 13 seed, I would say.
Okay.
They have played a lot of very high major programs. They played Purdue. They've played Missouri. They played South Carolina. They played Mississippi State. I think like they played. When they face decent teams in the tournament, they're not going to be like, whoa, we're not used to this. Which is kind of the fear with Winthrop. I don't know. I'm semi worried about
their schedule wasn't great.
Their schedule wasn't great.
See,
so like
look, I'm listening. I'm paying attention.
So Winthrop comes up against a team that's like everybody's 3 inches taller than them and faster than them, and they're like, shit, what do we do? Liberty has
Winthrop
been.
Guys short? Are they short little?
Well,
team?
I mean that's
cute little guys, cute little short guys.
That's traditionally the how it works. Is the smaller guys are smaller.
You said it.
Liberty is a good pick because of that. Like they have won a ton of games. They are a very good team, and they've played some big boys. So Liberty's one answer. I want to throw out.
They've played some big boys.
They've played the big boys. I want to throw out Wichita State as an option. I think you'll like Wichita State's
That's
story.
one of my favorite states.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I do. I really love Wichita State, and I think it's because I like their mascot. But now I can't remember what their mascot is. What's
Shockers?
their mascot? Yeah.
Not that kind of shit. Not that
No,
kind, Charlotte.
no,
Come on,
not
please.
the OnlyFans kind, but that isn't like a piece of wheat or something.
Yeah.
I love that. I live for Wichita State. If it weren't UVA, it'd be
Wichita State was really popular with the 16-year-old guys in my high school. They would wear the Wichita. The South Carolina was popular as well. The Gamecocks.
Oh, God.
Morehead State was a popular school. We had a lot of fans in Indiana of the Shockers, the Gamecocks, and Morehead State. I don't know why. It was weird. It never really made sense to me.
The mid-2000s for high school boys with Will Ferrell movies and Dane Cook just giving you,
the super
permission
finger
to be the worst.
Dane Cook is just like...
Yeah, and you're just like, why are we allowing this? Why are we doing this? Anyway,
Wichita State. So Wichita State, you might remember their coach was not the nicest guy in the world. Resigned right before the season, Greg Marshall. Mm-hmm. So they've had an interim coach for most of the season. They were picked to finish 7th in their conference. They ended up winning the conference. The interim coach, Isaac Brown, has never been a head coach in his entire life, Charlotte. He's 51 years old. He gets the interim tag removed. He is now going to be their coach moving forward. It's a great story. The players love him. So they have taken lemons, they have turned it into lemonade at Wichita State, and they're a fun story. They were not supposed to make
the wheat and turned it into bread,
Shockers.
as I like to say.
They've given that wheat to Shocker. I don't know but Wichita State is a team that I think people are familiar with. They made the Final Four. They've had a good program, right. and I think when you see them in your bracket, you're going to say, "Oh, these guys again," and you're going to see an 11 seed, and you're going to roll your eyes. But they're different. It's like what they've been through. They have a new coach. The
coach thing sounds like a Cinderella story already.
Yeah, they had a ton of guys transfer out. They were supposed to be very, very bad, and they're going to make the tournament, and they're going to be like an 11, 12, probably an 11 seed. And they're a team that everybody should root for. So I don't know if they're good enough they won their conference. They're in a conference with Houston, who is going to be a 2 seed, and they won the conference. So there's that.
I knew Houston was good too. I did know that.
Yeah. So
just tooting my own horn for a second. Okay, Wichita State. Keep an eye out. And one more.
The big one, the power conference school, which are typically not the Cinderellas, but I'm making an exception in this regard. Georgia Tech, out of the ACC. Mm-hmm. If you don't know who Josh Pastner is, Charlotte, that is your homework. Also do that. In the next 2 weeks, you're going to find out who Josh Pastner is. He has been a content goldmine. He wears a face, the face shield. on the sideline. He's the only coach that wears it. He is the biggest cornball in the world. Yeah. He's the biggest cornball in the world. He had a game. Maybe you remember this moment. There was a game this year in December, I want to say. They beat Nebraska, and he brings a COVID ball piñata into the locker room and passes it around, and all of his players start spiking it to say, like, we've beat COVID. So I don't know, like, suck it, COVID. Oh my God. As a celebration. And there was candy inside the COVID ball. Oh no, you know what it was? They after wins, they get in the bus and they drive to the gas station to get candy, I guess. And he said, we can't do that because everything's closed. So I brought the candy to you. And he had a piñata of a COVID ball.
I have so many questions. So did someone make him a COVID-shaped piñata?
I think so.
Or did he find that? Because I don't know which is more horrifying, that they're just selling those or that he commissioned one.
I hope they sell it. I hope like he didn't take time. I hope like there wasn't some manager at Georgia Tech that was making
a paper mache thing around a balloon in his bathroom, just like, oh my God, wow, okay, well,
he dances in like the weirdest dad. Like he's got these thick sideburns. He no part of him looks like he should be a college basketball coach. No part of him acts like he should be a college basketball coach. His best player just won ACC Player of the Year. They are the hottest team in the ACC. And they're going to make the tournament, and I think it's a team that, like, someone like you, Charlotte, would definitely get behind.
I might love him.
You would love him. You would absolutely love him.
I might not agree with all of it, but I might love his general vibe.
You would love his general vibe. He did it.
Okay.
He did a press conference just recently where he was cheering for Virginia because if Virginia beat Louisville in the last game of the regular season, Georgia Tech would get like a double bye for the ACC tournament, which has already started. So he was doing a press conference, and the reason I bring this up is he's in Zoom and he's like, I'm the biggest Virginia fan in the world, and he starts like raising the roof and he's like, come on, what do they say, like wahoos, here we go, what? And he's just the corniest guy in the world. And he's raising the roof and he's dancing. He's like, here we go, Virginia. Let's go.
He's like the Jason Sudeikis character of college basketball.
He's a little Ted Lasso.
That's what I'm getting. A little
Ted Lasso.
And by Jason Sudeikis character, I mean Ted Lasso.
What show is that character's in?
It's the Jason Sudeikis show.
That's right. Okay, that's right. I thought so.
That's what it is. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So anyway, I feel like I'm actually that was a really good way to do sort of a primer on March Madness.
That was.
I'm really proud
of us. You feel ready? You Winthrop. So what are the take homes? Winthrop. Keep an eye on.
No. Okay. Winthrop as a school no one's ever heard of, or Drake winning in the first. I'm repeating this back to you. Gonzaga, well, maybe not Gonzaga, but Ohio State will probably have a very high-scoring game. A wild buzzer beater is going to be Oklahoma State because they have been doing that all season. Sister Jean.
Moving on.
We're going to skip that one. A potential Cinderella story could be either Wichita State or Georgia Tech.
Yeah. And
did I just do it? Was that correct?
That's good. Yeah. Look up
minimum of listening that I
want you to, the two names I want you to remember, Mitch Ballack for the Big East tournament, which you're going to find out soon enough. You're going to, even if you don't remember, you're going to remember soon enough. And then Josh Pastner, you got to go. You got to do your Josh Pastner research. So when the tournament happens, you can be ready because you're going to want to watch Georgia Tech.
I'll just write about him.
You'll write about him. You'll want to write about Josh Pastner. So, speaking of mascots, I wanted to quiz you on mascots just because I'm curious, like how ubiquitous some of these mascots are. And I was trying to think of the best way to go about it, but again, we don't know who's going to be in the tournament, And then I thought a good way to do it would be just to where it's not arbitrary, would just be to go through the AP poll. Would you be down to do that?
I mean, a school.
If I go through the AP poll, do you think you could get some of the mascots? I'm curious how many you could get.
I have been put on the mascot beat for enough of my career in sports, for better or for worse. So let's try it, and if I suck at it, let's stop.
Okay.
Let's go. This is like me asking you the names of hockey teams. Ask me mascots.
That's a good Twitter bio. Let's try this. My motto. Let's try it, and if I suck, let's stop.
Let's try this. If I suck at it, let's stop.
Let's stop. All right, so this is this week's AP poll. I'm starting at number 1. We're going down. We're gonna figure out where you're gonna bail. Maybe that's a fun game. Like where do you hit the eject button? Where in the top 25? Can Charlotte make it all the way to the 20? You don't have to get them all right, but it's just like, where does it start to become overwhelming where you're like, all right, get me out of this. Gonzaga is number 1.
Bulldogs.
Yes. Baylor. Eject.
Also Bulldogs?
Close-ish. The alliteration is Baylor Bears.
Bears.
So maybe you're thinking that beep a beep a beep.
Oh, I did know that. I see their...
Beep beep go Baylor. Beep a beep a beep. Beep.
Okay.
Illinois.
Also wheat. Bird?
Illinois, the Fighting Illini.
What the hell is that?
It's like a
Illini? Is that a kind of person, an Illinoisan? Illini?
It's a native of Illinois, like a
so
very
their
much a
mascot
native.
is just a person. Do they have one of those creepy felt faces as a mascot?
It used to be Native American, and then it got canceled, as you do in these times.
It's 2021, baby.
The Illini, Michigan.
Wolverines.
Yeah. Iowa.
I was going to say just like a big M, and then there's like, no, I know this one.
Jim Harbaugh's khakis.
Milk. Iowa.
Iowa's number 5.
I do know this. Is this a bird?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, a flappy bird?
I believe the bird flaps, yes.
One of the flappy guys?
The bird has wings, yes.
Is it red?
We're getting colder. Not
is it
red.
Blue?
That's you're thinking of Iowa State, I think.
I am.
Iowa State has like a bird mascot as well. It is black and gold.
Blackhawks.
Hawkeyes. You got the hawk part. Yeah. Hawkeyes.
Okay. Do another one.
Alabama.
Roll Tide. Crimson Tide.
Alabama. I'll be like, Roll Tide. Roll Tide's not their mascot. It's like they're saying.
It's a wave. Yeah, I know. That's why I said it's a joke, Mark. Crimson Tide. It's a wave.
That was just like Pavlov. That was just a Pavlov response. You're just like, you hear Bama and you're like, Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Houston. This one's gonna be tough, I think, for you.
Is it a person? Like a guy?
It's a cat of some sort.
Wild cat?
It is a wild cat, but it's
Bobcat.
not a wild cat, if that makes sense. Cougars.
Ugh,
Houston
that's
Cougars.
stupid.
Yeah. Arkansas is number 8.
The Hogs.
Yeah, they're technically the Razorbacks, but they call themselves the Hogs. So
Yeah.
I'll allow that one. That one counts.
Okay.
Ohio State. Please, Charlotte.
Oh, the Buckeyes.
Thank you.
I heard it and I knew it was important that I get it right, and I panicked, and then I was like, no, you know this.
That was nice of you to not pretend, like, to be like, I don't know, I've never heard of them.
I panicked. It was like, that was like a pure id response. I couldn't control my response to that one.
Number 10 is West Virginia.
Oh, the Mountaineers.
Yeah. They got a great mascot. It's a real dude, and
It's a guy holding a pick.
Yeah, they find like the biggest dude on campus with a beard, and they're like, you want to hold like a fake gun and wear a coonskin cap? And he's like, absolutely, I do.
He's like, can I bring a real one? And they're like, absolutely not.
Kansas is number 11.
Jayhawks.
Yep. Oklahoma State, number 12.
I know this.
They got a great mascot too. It's a person. He wears a massive head.
Does he have a cowboy hat on?
Yeah, because he is a
cowboy.
Yes. Yes. He is. He's a cowboy.
Cool.
Good job, kids. Sound it out.
This show is the most humbling thing that I do.
It's
every
so
week.
fun. I love it.
I am humbled and brought to my knees by my own lack of knowledge every week. Okay, go. One more.
Number 13, Texas.
Ugh, this sucks. I don't know.
You don't know Texas?
The Longhorns.
Yeah. Oh
my God. Sorry.
You're just panicking. This is the other funny part. Is like you already you will admit you don't know as much as you feel like you should, but then it's exacerbated by the fact that you very much crumble under pressure.
I crumble. I immediately. You should have seen me taking the SATs. Oh my God.
All right, we could stop, I guess, if you want.
Give me two more. Give me two more.
Villanova.
Wildcats.
Florida State.
Seminoles.
Well, the next one's Virginia. You should know that.
Oh, the Who's.
Yeah. Do you know what their technical?
Cindy Lou Who.
Do you know what their actual
Cavaliers.
mascot? Okay, all right. And then Creighton, Loyola, Chicago, San Diego. I think that's where it falls apart. Creighton.
Can I do St. John?
Yeah, was
That's
St.
a
John.
red bird. I know that much. That is a red.
I think
bird.
they're actually called the Johnnies now because they used to be called the Red Men, and that was problematic for
That's
obvious
not okay.
reasons. Yeah, and so.
But it's a bird.
But then they kept the bird. Yeah, and yeah.
There you go.
The shout out to all the schools that have mascots that make no sense for what their nickname is. Like,
also, shout out to schools that mascots that aren't real things, that they just like made something up and then had to find a physical manifestation of it. They had to make a costume for a shocker, and you're like,
that's what I mean. Yeah, you don't. Or what was the one Sienna? I figured this hit me the other day. Sienna, their mascot is their nickname is the Saints. And their mascot, you would think, would be like,
Sister Jean.
Sister Jean, or I don't know, priest or something.
Right.
Their mascot is a Saint Bernard, Charlotte.
Oh, I love that.
Genius,
but also
right?
Makes no sense.
No sense whatsoever.
Oh, a saint.
But yeah.
Oh, a Saint Bernard. Those are such good dogs. Oh, I love it. I think I'm a Sienna fan now.
But I love schools that do that. That like you have your nickname says you're thinking one thing with the mascot direction, and then you turn on the TV. You're like, what the hell? Why does St. John's have a bird? That doesn't make any sense. You're like, don't ask questions. It's college sports.
Speaking of college sports and mascots, let's do our top 5 non-basketball basketball moments, because I really am excited to tell you my number 1.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the conceit here is March Madness, things that have to do with March Madness that have nothing to do with what happened on the court in the game itself. It's stuff off the court, right? That's it. We set it up well enough.
This was a very fun list to put together.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you go first, as always, unless you want me to. It's your call.
No,
you like going first. Okay.
I'll step into the spotlight here. My number 5 is technically not a March Madness one, but it's from 2020. And so there was no March Madness. So I think it's fair to do something from this was March 3rd, 2020, when Snacks, you remember Snacks?
Oh, yeah.
Thomas Lee of Jackson State got into the game in the final minutes. They were playing Arkansas Pine Bluff, also a school I totally knew existed. And his team just kept feeding him the ball. He kept missing. And then finally he sank this unbelievable 3 that like a Steph Curry 3.
Yeah.
And the team won, and everyone was just so thrilled for him. He's a bigger dude, and he started being called Snacks because he brought Skittles to the locker room when he was a freshman, starting as, the manager. And so everyone started calling him Snacks, but he said that it was for the big guys everywhere. And I just loved that.
That's
so
what
much.
made it awesome too, is like just the shot itself was like cool, but then you find out that Snacks is like actually awesome.
Oh, yeah, Snacks rules.
Snacks did not, this was not a milkshake duck situation, as they say on the internet, where you like find out more about him and you're like, oh no. At least
Snacks stayed good.
To my understanding, Snacks became like cooler as I got to know more about the guy. And that counts as March Madness. It happened in March. It's college basketball.
Great.
March Madness is the whole month.
It wasn't the tournament, so I didn't know. But that's my number 5.
My number 5 is the 2012 national title game national anthem sung by the Fray.
Oh my God.
It was.
I forgot about this.
It was the most horrendous national anthem I've ever heard. It never gets mentioned as the worst national anthems of all time, and I have no idea why. The Fray come out, for those that don't remember, it's on YouTube. Go look it up. The Fray come out and they decide, like, you know what? We're not going to sing the national. We're going to play our own song, and then we're just going to sing the words of the national anthem over top. And the guy has like a tambourine and also a drum. He's like hitting the tambourine with the drum. Another guy's like playing like the banjo. And
also, no one liked the Fray even in 2012.
The chicks I went to high school with liked the Fray, so I know some of their songs, and I maybe threw them on a mixtape here or there once, but I wasn't afraid. Like I'm familiar with the Grey's Anatomy theme song.
I read the Wikipedia.
I read the Wikipedia. Yeah. They're capable musicians though. You know what I mean? Like it's whether you're into their music or not,
play music. Like they know how to play a guitar.
And they come out, Charlotte, and they're like, we're just not even going to come close to playing notes that you're familiar with the national anthem or the melody of that you know and love. We're going to play our own thing. And then the lead singer, to his credit, sang the words of the national anthem. That'd be funny if he comes out, he's like, and now the national anthem. He's like, how to save a life. You're like, what are we doing, Frank? But then the other thing that took it next level was that even in spite of playing the song that they're already butchering it by not playing the right song. Right. I know nothing about music. I have what's the tone deaf? I guess that's I don't understand music at all. I don't understand musical therapy.
Don't sell yourself short, Judge. You know a lot about 90s country.
Well, I know, but I don't know the art of music. I don't know
No.
I can't I couldn't be an American Idol judge because I'd be like, I don't know, sound pretty good to me. I'd say that to everybody. I go to karaoke bars and I'm like, I don't know, you can sing pretty, you know. And the reason I say that is because even I, a guy who can't understand anything, could tell that they were off key. Could tell that they were playing it bad. Something was very, very wrong. So anyway, it was hilarious. It was an absolute train wreck.
We should tweet out the video of that because I think the people need to remember. I do remember that. I remember just being like horrified, but also loving it.
Happening right now. And the other thing that made it funny is Kansas. It was Kansas, Kentucky. So you have two of the most storied programs in all of college basketball. Bill Self, John Calipari, Anthony Davis is playing in this game, and the stage was not that that matters as much, but it's just like funny looking back. Like Anthony Davis's big moment right before it was how to save a life. So anyway, that's my number 5.
It's so good. My number 4 is the John Wall dance from 2012. And I was not aware of this during the regular season because I wasn't super, or was it 2012? 2010. 2010, yeah. I was not super aware of this, but then I remember it came to March Madness and I had to fill up my bracket and I was sort of asking people and they were like, well, John Wall's pretty cool. And I was like, I don't know why. And they were like, because he does this dance. And then they started doing the dance that he did where he moves his fists in and out. And I was like, oh, that's what people have been doing at parties all year long. It finally made sense to me. And that was such a moment of clarity. And before I started, working in sports, a moment of like, oh, there is a language here that I don't know that I would know. I would get a lot more references if I paid more attention.
Yeah.
And then I started paying attention.
I remember that. That was my senior year in college. John Wall. That was John Calipari's first year at Kentucky. So that added to it. It was like John Calipari goes to Kentucky and he gets this insane recruiting class. Which as more time has passed, he's gotten I think some better recruiting classes than that. But it was groundbreaking at the time to just have a guy who can sign the top 2 or 3 guys, and you're like, what the hell just happened? Right. So there was a ton of buzz around Kentucky. Obviously, that team was so good. And yeah, I think he came out for their Big Blue Madness, at the start of the year, that big event that they do, and that Drake shows up to every so often.
There's a video where he's walking out.
That's what it started. And then all year, that was the thing, was John Wall. Does he still do that? I don't think he does.
I would think that he maybe shed that somewhere along the way, but I would love him to bring it back.
I'd love 64-year-old John Wall at his Hall of Fame. He's like, what's up, everybody? That's when he needs to do it. Yeah.
If there were a time to bring it back, it would be that.
Yeah. My number 4 on my list is when Jim Nantz gave his tie to Ryan Arcidiacono in 2016, and it exploded the internet, and everyone's like, wait, is this something that Jim Nantz does? And it became a huge story that no one will ever forget. And I can't watch Jim Nantz go college basketball and not think about it. And then come to find out, he had been doing it for 10 years.
He'd been doing it for years. And everyone was like, oh, the amateurism. Here's a kid.
Yeah.
And Jim Nantz thinks that giving him his tie is going to save the world. It's no, he probably doesn't think that.
If you don't know the story, Jim Nantz, who I assume most people know, calls every national championship game. At the end of every game, he says that he finds a senior. I actually have the quote. It's but he finds a senior. He gives him his tie, and he did this in 2016 on the winning team. It's like his MVP trophy. He's like, I'm going to take my tie off and hand it to you. And everyone heard this, and they were like, what? Why does this kid want your tie? What are you doing, Jim?
I definitely roasted it because I didn't know that he did that until then.
Here's his quote. It's a personal Final Four tradition. The tie symbolizes a lot to me. My father who taught me how to tie a tie. I just felt years ago that I wanted to do something to honor a senior on the team that wins a title, to give them something to take home. I bring a new tie every year to the game. So he buys a new tie, wears it just for that game, and I find a player who I'm inspired by everything about them, what they do on the floor and what they've done in the classroom. And they said that was an easy one tonight because he was someone asked him, they saw him hand it to Archie Diacono, and they're like, what the hell was that? And then he said, that's something. Yeah. And then he didn't do it in 2017. I don't know if he still does it because I think like the internet went crazy and he was like, all right, well, I guess I'll retire that, which kind of sucks too because like it is well intentioned and it's sweet and it's a nice gesture.
Yeah,
it's just very bizarre.
It's a little weird, but like it's not. I don't think it's as condescending as maybe some people thought it was. I was like, what a weird, cool kind of thing to hang in your basement when you're 30.
You definitely have to have some.
Jim Nance's tie.
There's definitely some level of ego behind it, though, of like, this kid's definitely going to want my tie, No,
that part of it is definitely, but I think that it's funny enough to have that it sort of outweighs, it's so absurd to have Jim Nance's tie in your house.
Yeah.
That it's funny, that it's worth how egocentric it is to do it in the first place for him.
For what it's worth, all the guys that have gotten the ties have said they like Archie Diacono. My understanding is like he displays it in his like Final Four, like whatever his trophy case at his house.
Oh yeah,
he like has it. And he's like, yeah, it's cool. I got Jim Nance's tie.
You get that framed. I would frame that.
But
I have a Jim Nance quarter zip from the Vineyard Vines collection. I framed that, and Jim Nance didn't even give that to me. It's hanging in my apartment.
I bought that for $241.
It was a gift, Todd. I'm taking it with me. Okay, my number 3 is when, this is also 2016, I think, I'm pretty sure, when Sean Miller sweat through his shirt, the Arizona coach.
Yep.
And I like this because I'm not trying to make fun of the guy. Like, I'm not trying to be mean. I don't think that this is like I'm not roasting him. I just think it's an absolutely amazing human feat that this man, 11 minutes in, was able to sweat through his entire shirt. And he gave a great explanation. He said, he also said, it seemed like something that happened to me, like I was sick, or I was a raving lunatic on the sideline, that I sweated at a level that's never been seen before, Miller said.
Yeah.
But truth be told, I tried a new shirt that was positioned to me as being more breathable, and they were right, which means less material. And then he didn't wear an undershirt under it. And he just, like, he looks like he's in a wet t-shirt contest.
Yeah.
It is one of the most incredible human feats, like, physically, that I've ever seen.
If he cannonballed into a pool and then walked out, he would have less moisture in his shirt than what he had. Yes. It was unbelievable. It's something that it's a gift that keeps on giving. It is a meme that will be used from now until the end of time. And it especially became funny as Sean Miller has got caught. His program has been involved with like the FBI situation, we'll say, and there's a note.
We'll just leave it right there.
We'll just leave it like that. And so it's a great picture to just sit like we've turned it into
like the feds are coming, and then you switch to a picture of him.
So many people use the joke like live look at Sean Miller about like anything bad that's happened to Arizona, that like Tate and I have taken it and we've beaten it into the ground to where it's like so unfunny that it's kind of funny again. That we'll just like.
Well, I'm glad I chose this one.
We're intimately familiar with it.
That you guys did that.
Yeah, live look.
Whatever.
No. I don't mean that's not. It plays. No.
It plays? Okay.
Yeah, if it was corny, I'd tell you it was corny. No, it's a good pick. It's a good pick. Because it is. It's like, it's timeless. Like in 30 years, you could show that picture and people would be like, yeah, that's
people
hilarious.
People still be like, yeah, that's insane.
That's so funny. Yeah. That'll go. If there was if I could start my own college basketball Hall of Fame, I would put that picture in it. I'll put it that way. So that's a good pick.
Great. Okay, good.
My number 3, you're going to love this. This is, we're starting to get into the territory of like, you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. And it's story time with Mark.
I'm psyched.
So Billy Packer, do you know who that is?
Yes.
Okay. So
no.
We're off to a great start. Billy Packer he was the color commentator for Jim Nance is the head guy, as we know. Mm-hmm. Billy Packer from 1974 to 2008 was the lead analyst for CBS or for the Final Four. I think he was NBC originally, and then anyway, he was the guy. If you're watching the Final Four, Billy Packer was calling the game up until 2008. 2008 was his last one. He did it for 34 straight years. He was an oddball. He was a guy that just his name and an older generation, like my dad's, like I grew up with Billy Packer, but by 2008 he was out. But my dad, like that era from 74 to, so he's got a lot of thought, like that kind of generation. They're like, yeah, Billy Packer, how much time do you have? But totally. Here's the moment that I want to highlight is that Billy Packer going into his final Four in San Antonio, 2008. Coincidentally, the only Final Four that ever had 4 number 1 seeds. That was the Mario Chalmers hits the shot to beat Memphis. That was or to send it to overtime against Memphis. Anyway, USA Today writes an article about Billy Packer. This might be his last Final Four. I don't think they know it is yet, but they're seeing the writing on the wall. And they profile Billy Packer. And I will never forget this profile as long as I live, because there were these nuggets within this profile, Charlotte. I'm going to read, this is word for word. He'll tell you that Hillary Clinton's support among women is overrated. This is in the article. There's like, these are things about... He'll tell you that Hillary Clinton's support among women is overrated. He randomly, and remember, this is 2008. He randomly approached 123 women recently without introducing himself to ask if they'd ever vote for her. None of them knew who I was or cared, Packer says. He was surprised only 3 women blew him off. You'd think they'd say it was none of my business, he says. FYI, only 6 say they vote for Clinton. So basically, the point of this story is that Billy Packer was walking up to women on the street and saying, would you vote for Hillary Clinton? In 2008. He polled 123 women for no reason whatsoever. A college basketball commentator.
That's just like... That's the definition of stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Yeah, like, it gets worse.
Swerved, so he merged. He took an exit off a highway that wasn't even there.
This is like his big going away pro. This is like a big, like, Billy Packer's an icon. Say goodbye to Billy. They're writing this in the article. They continue in the next paragraph. His survey wasn't out of character. They're saying this is not out of character, and here's why. After the 1996 Atlanta Olympic bombing, he created the Richard Jewell Defense Foundation since he was sure that the police were focusing on the wrong suspect.
What the hell? How was this guy allowed to be on TV?
It gets worse, Charlotte. Are you ready for this next sentence?
Yes.
He hired a psychic to find the murder weapon in the O.J. Simpson case. This is the man who was the voice of college basketball for 34 years. And they didn't tell us this until it was his last Final Four.
Are you kidding me?
It continues. A psychic. He was like, he's like, we're gonna solve this case. I Billy Packer am going to hire a psychic to find the knife that killed Nicole Brown Simpson.
Does anyone know what happened to this? What this guy's up to since?
That's the story you should write. You should find out what Billy Packer's up to.
I'm going to track down Billy Packer because that is an insane. I did not know any of this.
There's also a nugget that when he lived on a golf course, he played holes backwards. He would tee off at the green and hit it towards the tee. I swear to God, this was all in the same article. So that's number 3 on my list.
I thought I was the only one who did that.
That USA Today article in 2008 when Billy Packer's about to call his last Final Four, and I'm reading that like, what the f***?
Batshit insane thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. That feels really important.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 2. Sorry. Like, I'm going to be thinking about that one, Fry. It's going to take me a while to process that.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 2 one is when the UNC band wore shirts that said "The ceiling is the roof."
Oh.
I was at that ACC tournament, and the band sort of files in and starts playing, and I looked at their shirts, and I was like, oh my God, because Michael Jordan had said about UNC's football team, that, when it comes to this team, the ceiling is the roof. And everyone was like, what?
Like, that makes no sense.
That's not even close. It's not even like you got the saying wrong. Like, that's just straight up not a saying. And then the band showed up wearing t-shirts, and I just thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. It's very simple. It's very simple.
No, that's good. That again, an iconic moment that I think people will be saying the ceiling is the roof for a long time. And I know that because it's been a few years and it still hits, because like most things on the internet die out in like 2 weeks.
Like people don't say it all the time, so it hasn't like oversaturated, but it's still like a wink. I like it. If you know, you know.
All right, this is number 2 on my list. Is another story. I'll try to make as quick as possible. We simply do not have the time to. Charlotte has to get out of here. In 2014, Mitch McGary was a guy. He was a sophomore on Michigan. He was on the 2013 team that went to the national championship and lost. He comes back. He's supposed to be one of their better players. I think some people thought he's a preseason All-American, whatever. Eight or so games into this.
You're talking so fast.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Keep going.
8 or so games into the season, McGarry hurts his back, and he's supposed to be out for the year. Now, Michigan ends up having a great team even without him. They go on a decent NCAA tournament run to the Elite Eight. And in the Sweet 16, Mitch McGarry, who's been out for the entire year, everyone thinks he's going to be out for the whole year. He's just rehabbing to come back for the next year. To galvanize the troops, Mitch McGarry decides, I'm going to dress for this game, for this Sweet 16 game. He's not going to play. He's been doing rehab enough that he can just warm up, and he wants to sit on the bench in his uniform and cheer on the guys instead of street clothes and sit at the end, right? So it's a good gesture. Let's let Mitch McGarry dress. By dressing, Charlotte, he has to be added to the active roster.
Okay.
By being added to the active roster, you are now eligible for a random drug test after the NCAA tournament game.
Oh my God.
Simply by putting a uniform on with no intention of playing, he gets drug tested by the NCAA after the game, pisses in the cup, tests positive for weed.
Oh, no.
Because it gets worse. This is why the story is insane. Because this happened, if you test positive for weed in a normal regular season game, the governing body is the University of Michigan or the Big Ten or whatever. Right. Their penalty is you miss a game or two, maybe.
Right.
Maybe so if it's in house, they'll just make you do sprints or something,
Right.
Because it's the NCAA's rule at the time was you are suspended for a full calendar year. So he comes back. He doesn't even play. Had no intention of playing. Wasn't even healthy enough. Even if everyone fouled out and they looked at Mitch McGarry and they're like, "You get it." He's like, I can't play." They still tested him. He gets suspended for a year. So he was going to come back to Michigan, but he was like, "Well, if I'm going to be suspended, screw it." Goes to the NBA, and then that following year in 2015, Michigan is not very good. And part of the reason they were not very good is they had no big man, and they needed Mitch McGarry badly. It's one of the most bizarre stories.
Awful. That's one of those things where it's the rules do not fit.
Yeah.
Following rules is such a sure, it's by the book and it's what you're supposed to do, but every bone in your body, you want to just scream at someone because you're this makes such little sense.
His career ended. I don't mean for this to be this isn't my favorite. I know Michigan fans are going to think I love it because it's Michigan suck at Michigan. It's not my favorite because I don't want to see bad things happen to people. It's my favorite just that how are you it's just mind blowing.
It's more
how
roasting the NCAA.
Yeah, it's
right.
The circumstances that led to this point are so insane. And for what it's worth, Mitch McGarry swore that this was the first time he ever smoked weed. So if you want to believe him, I do remember that. I was like, he's like, I went to one party and I smoked. Someone handed me something. I smoked it, and I don't think that was necessarily true. But I love. It adds to the story. If that's true, that makes it even more insane.
If it's true, it's incredible. If it's not, it's a great lie.
That's my number 2 is Mitch McGarry getting boned by the system.
Oh my God.
In 2014.
That's amazing.
All right, you're number 1.
Mitch McGarry. All right, my number 1 is it's personal to me, and it was when I walked the Butler Bulldog, Butler Blue the Third. His name is Tripp, through Madison Square Park 3 years ago before the Big East tournament. And it was hands down, no joke, Mark. I was rereading this last night and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever written. Nothing I've written even comes close to being this good. This is art. This is the closest to art that I've ever gotten.
What'd you do? You walked the dog?
Yeah. So somehow I managed to walk the dog through. They were doing. I can't even remember how it happened, but I met this dog on the corner of, on some street corner with his managers and his handlers, and I took him for a walk. As a thing that I did for my job. And then after the fact, we followed each other on social media. Butler Blue will DM me sometimes. Their Tripp has since retired. There's now a 4th. Butler Blue the 4th is the current mascot. And I just want to read you one thing that I wrote, because this is the greatest paragraph I've ever written. And I'm sorry to gas myself up like this, but it's about a dog. So the Commodores wrote Brick House about this dog. This dog's bones are made of steel. This dog could bench 350 pounds with only his back right leg while smoking a cigarette. This dog invented CrossFit and then quit because it wasn't hard enough. This dog is what happens to normal dogs when they keep their New Year's resolutions. This dog is elite. This dog also has to poop. Like it won't ever get better than that.
You're great. What a great mouthpiece you are for Butler Blue. I mean, my God, you meet the dog, you take him on one walk, and suddenly you're ready to I've seen enough.
You should have met this dog. Like you would get it if you'd met this. I tried to convey the feeling of like the majesty of this dog. I'll tweet the article out again because it's I'm going to the Big East. I'll tweet it out when I say that I'm going because it's hands down just my finest work. So
that's so good, and it's a relationship that will continue. That you have Butler Blue sliding into your DMs.
We spoke yesterday. I asked him if he was going to be there. He's not. They're not allowing dogs this time. Got to protect him. Can't have dogs getting COVID. Damn. I love it.
Thanks. Number one for me is my number one on my list. It had to be this. It's just one of the more absurd things that's ever happened in March Madness history. In 1981, the morning of the national title game, John Hinckley Jr. shoots the President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, in an attempt to impress Jodie Foster.
This being your number one.
Again, it's not my favorite that it happened. It's my favorite that it's absurd. It's just absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
The president is shot, and they don't know we don't know his condition per se. And there is a national championship game to be played in Philadelphia, and there's a meeting in a broom closet where Dean Smith and Bob Knight, Indiana versus North Carolina, are meeting to discuss what do we do about this. And the story goes that Dean Smith said, I don't think we should play. And Bob Knight was like, the hell with that, we're playing. Which I think is kind of, I don't know if that's actually what happened, but it's just convenient because Dean Smith is like the nicest guy in the world and Bob Knight's an asshole. So I think people just kind of assume that's what happened.
Even if it's not true, it's a great narrative.
They end up playing the game. The game started 20 minutes before Ronald Reagan came out of surgery. So,
oh my God.
As the game's going on, they're still not entirely sure if the president's going to make it through. God. And I just want to, the reason this is number one, and especially it works well in these times we live in right now, is because there's this understanding that what has happened to America? Where have we arrived where sports are more important than the pandemic, where the Capitol is stormed and yet people just continue life, they just go on and I just wanted to point out, this is not a new thing. In 1981, the president was shot and they were like, yeah, we have fans in the stands. We should probably play the game.
Wrap up the tournament.
We got contract. What would we be able to make money from our TV ads if we don't play? We should play the game, right? And they still played. So I just wanted to point that out to America that even 40 years ago, they were still the game must continue.
Country's always been broken, folks. That's amazing.
So there you go.
Well, I hope everybody learned something. I'll miss you next week, but
yeah, I'm sorry. We're not doing this, but just go re-listen to this show, or I don't know. I'm sorry.
We'll have something fun. You didn't blow it. You're doing your job, but I'm gonna go to the Big East tournament now.
Yeah, go watch the Big East tournament. Go watch Mitch Ballack. Go watch. I know you're excited to see Patrick Ewing, Villanova. I want the UConn report because UConn. Everyone's picking UConn to win it, so. I need your vibes on. Yeah,
I'm not picking UConn.
Who are you picking? Pick your winner right now.
Of the Big East?
Yeah.
Villanova.
All right.
I don't know.
I just saw that. I saw that they had won next. Yeah, I saw that they were good.
But I'm gonna be right. So.
Yeah. All right. We'll see.
Okay. All right.
Cool. That's it. That's the show. See you guys in 2 weeks. Ohio State better still be in the tournament. I'll just say that if we're out of the tournament the next time we're doing a show,
if they're not.
I'm done with this show. So I'm done.
Okay, all right.
We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
It'll just be me guessing the names of mascots by myself.
Hey pals, thanks for watching the People's Sports Podcast YouTube channel. For more of mine and Mark's very weird rabbit holes, stick around, watch more. You can subscribe, smash that subscribe button. You know you want to. We're going to give you all the weird stuff we possibly can.